Good morning, and welcome to the Morristown Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. I'm Barbara Castellanastasiak, and I'm your service associate today. Here, where we covenant to weave together the fabric of community from the strands of our separate lives, we try to be an inclusive, welcoming congregation. Whoever you are, wherever you are on life's journey, you are welcome here. Right now would be a good time to silence any noise-making devices as we prepare for our morning worship. We have only one announcement today, and it is Rita Morris who will be speaking to us for a moment.
Good morning. I forgot my glasses.
You're
Okay. It was over 30 years ago when I first met one of the founders of our fellowship, Eleanor Mason. She was my tennis instructor as part of the Short Hill Ski Club. Eleanor, for whatever reason, insisted that I meet her here on Sunday morning in front of 21 Normandy Heights Road. You did what Eleanor told you to. And being a very good Catholic girl, I appeared on the steps of the Morristown Unitarian Fellowship. I had never even heard the word Unitarian. However, after that first Sunday morning, I have attended here religiously, but definitely not out of fear of committing mortal sin. After having attended Catholic school taught by the nuns and brothers all the way through college, the Unitarian approach to life was my lifeline. Instead of fear spurring me on, you offered love as the motive of living well. And what started as tennis lessons turned into my first comparative religions course. It was way back in grade school days that the nuns put the idea in my head that hanging out with publics, non-Catholic kids, was an occasion of sin. It has taken all these 30 years for me to catch up with all of you. This fellowship has been my second family for all these years. When I was a practicing Catholic, whatever that meant, it did not include pledging other than a couple of bucks in the offering basket. Catholic Charities handled all needs, as did the coffers of the Vatican. Here, our social justice work replaces creeds with deeds, and to question is an answer, has replaced the words I heard all my life. You just have to have faith. Almost forgot this reflection is on the subject of the annual pledge. Just hope that my family does not catch this service on YouTube. I give more to the fellowship than my first family, which includes 6 grandkids for birthdays, holidays, you name it. Blessed be Alison, blessed be Stearns, as you get ready to follow your next callings. I treasure all you have given me over the years. As for our board, and all of you who make my spiritual home the place I want to be, don't go anywhere. We need you. I need you, and we need your generous, loving pledge. Thank you.
As Rita reminds us, we need to do our pledges. And remember that next week at 10 a.m. we will have a very special musical service followed by our annual meeting. So please be with us then. And now we'll go on with this morning's service.
Oops. Uh-oh, I just detached, I think. Can I get a volunteer? Are there any children that would like to light our chalice this morning? Wonderful. Come forward. And let us share together in our covenant, which the words are on the screen behind me. Wonderful. Will you, great, we actually, you can come up here too. We have another candle right here just for you. And this one is a very important one. So let us recite together while, here you go. Love is the spirit of our fellowship, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Perfect. And this very important candle is because today we are holding on to the light of beauty, and also we are learning from the light of brokenness. Would you light that candle for me? Thank you. Perfect. You did it. And then blow it out, remember? Perfect. Ooh. You know what we say then? At time our lights go out, and we have to think on with gratitude of the people that have helped light the flame within us. And that is by Albert Schweitzer. And that candle's so special it needed two of us. And today is a day when we need all of us. So thank you. And Barbara will lead us in our responsive reading. Perfect.
And our responsive reading will be, there it is. I'll read the first part, and would you join in on the italicized part, please? We need one another when we mourn and would be comforted. We need one another when we are in trouble and afraid. We need one another when we are in despair, in temptation, and need to be recalled to our best selves again. We need one another when we would accomplish some great purpose and cannot do it alone. We need one another in the hour of success when we look for someone to share our triumphs. We need one another in the hour of defeat when with encouragement we might endure and stand again. We need one another when we come to die and would have gentle hands prepare us for the journey. All our lives we are in need, and others are in need of us.
So, this morning, we have lit our flaming chalice, and we have also lit a light to remind us of all the beauty in the world, and also to learn from the light of brokenness. And today is about these two aspects of what it means to be human. And so we want to begin and ground in a meditation. And I think it's important, today is also a day that we're talking about promoting peace and peace building. And peace is a beautiful thing that we want to cultivate in our hearts. And one of the great teachers about peace is a man now who passed away, but his light lives on, Thich Nhat Hanh. And he taught many adults and children about how to touch that center of peace in our heart, because peace really begins within. And I recommend to the parents and grandparents, and really all of us, a book called A Handful of Quiet. And we're just going to read some excerpts from it and engage in a practice. But I want you to know that the full practice includes drawing and pebbles and meditating together. And today, I want to ask all the children and adults to bring into their mind's eye, to visualize these elements that we're going to think about as we meditate. And Thich Nhat Hanh wrote this book for beginners, but I think it's helpful for all of us. So one image to center on that helps us touch peace is a flower. So I have a question that any person of any age could answer, but what might a flower represent? We have some beautiful flowers up here. When you see these flowers, what do you think of? Life, yes. Anything else? Beauty, absolutely. Anything else? Resilience. Oh, I love those. And this is what Thich Nhat Hanh wrote. A flower represents our freshness. We all have the ability to look at things with fresh eyes and to see them as if seeing them for the first time. If we have lost our freshness, all we have to do is practice breathing in and out to restore it. You too are a flower. You have your flowerness. We become light and joyous every time we restore our flowerness. The second image that he brings to mind of the four to help us meditate is a mountain. What do you think of when you think of a mountain? Strength. Anything else? Challenge, yeah. Rising to a challenge, I agree. Endurance, yes. Wonderful. Sturdy. This is what Thich Nhat Hanh writes about a mountain. A mountain represents solidity and stability. There is a mountain within you. When you practice sitting and walking with awareness, because we can do a meditation, a walking meditation, in our labyrinth or in the woods, you grow your capacity to be solid and stable. Solidity and stability are very important for our happiness. They are the mountain within us. So now we're going to think of a flower and then a mountain. The third image he invites us to draw or to meditate on is water. So tell me something about water. What qualities does water possess? Fluid, yes. Buoyant, yes. Life, survival. Cleansing. Yes, all these powerful things. Calm water is beautiful. When water is still, it reflects nature as it really is. When we learn how to mindfully breathe in and breathe out, we are like still water. We make ourselves still and calm. We can breathe in and out and become calm and serene. Then we can see things as they really are and not get caught in fear, blame, or anger. We have the capacity for great clarity. That is the still water within us. And the fourth thing that he wants us to conjure up in our minds is space. So what might represent space, and what qualities does space possess? Possibility. Yes. Solitude. Mm-hmm. Star Trek. Yes. Star Wars. Yes. The Force. The stars. A willingness to rise to challenges and to defeat the empire. Oh wait, sorry, what were we doing? No, I'm just kidding. Those were great images of space. We need to have space in us to be happy, Thich Nhat Hanh writes. Having enough space helps us experience freedom, that's a great word, and joy. Without space, we cannot be happy or peaceful. When we look at a table, we might think it's only made of wood, but scientists tell us that the table is mostly made of space. It's hard to believe, but the amount of wood in a table is actually very small. We practice meditation in order to restore the flower within. We practice in order to restore the mountain within. We practice in order to restore the still water within. We practice in order to restore the space within. So let us engage in a quick practice of meditation so that we might touch beauty and resilience and freedom and peace. So I invite you to close your eyes, to get comfortable, feet on the floor or in the air, because we're talking about space too. Some of our feet don't always reach. And let's close our eyes and let's breathe in deeply and breathe out deeply. And one more. Breathe in deeply and breathe out deeply. And now I invite you to imagine these images, these invitations. Breathing in, I see myself as a flower. Breathing out, I feel fresh. Breathing in, I see myself as a mountain. Breathing out, I feel solid. Breathing in, I see myself as still water. Breathing out, I reflect things as they are. Breathing in, I see myself as space. Breathing out, I feel free. Breathing in, I see myself as a flower, a human flower. Breathing out, I am beautiful, just as I am. I feel very fresh. Breathing in, I see myself as a mountain. Breathing out, I feel solid. Nothing can move or distract me. Breathing in, I see myself as still water, a calm, clear lake in and around me. Breathing out, I reflect things just as they are, inside and around me. Breathing in, I see myself as the big blue sky with lots of space in and around me. Breathing out, I feel very free and at ease. May it be so. And I'll ask people of all ages, and maybe ask the children first, when you meditate with visuals like that, and you breathe in and out, how does it make you feel? Peaceful. Peaceful, yeah, good. Anything else? Yes? Bored? I'm so glad. I was hoping someone would say that. So, practicing meditation takes a while. And one of the things that we practice is allowing our thoughts to go in different directions. And that's why Thich Nhat Hanh mentions these images to think about, or even a drawing meditation for children, or having those images on a table and placing the pebbles to help us practice. And I have a confession to make. Alan Wells, our affiliated community minister, is on a month-long silent retreat. He is meditating for a month. I think I would be bored too, John. Yeah, I'm with you. Because I have not yet practiced enough to reach that level. So I'm glad you said that, because sometimes spiritual practices are also disciplines. It's not always easy to become still and calm like water. And yet, it's good for us to learn how to do those things. So the invitation here is to learn how to do it for 1 minute, and then 2 minutes, and maybe up to 5 minutes. And some of us might even aspire to 10 minutes or even a half an hour. But people who have great discipline with this particular spiritual practice could practice for 30 days. So that is only one spiritual practice. And I'll name two that for other people, different spiritual practices work better. And that's why we do many different spiritual practices here. So yes, meditation can make us feel peaceful. It can make us gain clarity. It can make us feel spacious and free. It can sometimes make us feel bored, but that's okay. So that's what John said. And we tell truth here, right? So that's part of what we're doing today. So thank you for practicing with me. And today, one of the things that we're really opening to are the feelings of this week. And it's been a sad week and a scary week in many ways. And so let us sing together. And I invite you to rise or be seated, whatever feels right to you. We're going to sing Comfort Me, and we're going to follow that with a ritual of mourning. And I just want to make sure, in case someone needs some space, they can walk outside or they can walk somewhere else. We're going to name the names of those we lost this week, and say a little something about them. But let us sing together. So we know that sometimes very sad things happen. And I know we're in a multi-generational space right now, and I just want to ask, what's an example of a sad thing that could happen? Does anyone know? Yes? Oh, a guinea pig dying. That's right. Anytime a being, especially someone we love, animal or human, dies, it's very sad. So thank you for sharing that. Is there another example that anyone might have to share of something sad? Yes? You lost your video game? What? One of your rounds of video games? Got it. Actually, I appreciate that one because that's sad. And at this... Oh, a game, lost a game, okay. Well, that's even more to the point, because losing a video game might be sadder. Just losing a game, like to someone else, is a little less sad, even though it might be sad. That's something we learn how to manage. And so there are scales of sadness. Some things are extremely sad and hard to get over. They might even make you mad and say, why? Why did this happen? And other things, like losing a game, is something we learn how to cope with, but it can feel sad in the moment. It's easier to let go of. And what's an example of something frightening that might happen? War is frightening, and today is Memorial Day, and war costs many lives and is very frightening. Yes, extremely. The war in Ukraine, I think a lot of people know, is going on right now. What's another frightening thing? Yes? Oh, I don't know why that's frightening. Do you? SpongeBob EXE? I'll just have to take your word for it. So my asthma is getting to me. Asthma can be frightening. Asthma can be frightening. Illness can be frightening. Illness can be frightening.
Disabilities.
Yes. Disabilities can be frightening. Yes. Yes. Having to rewrite 3 weeks of work. I think everybody of every age. If my computer were to have been wiped clean and not be able to open again, as did happen this year, and I lost months of work, it was frightening. And 3 weeks is frightening. I agree with that. Again, levels of frightening. Death is much, much worse, right? This week, there was a very frightening and scary and very sad thing that happened. How many of the children here do drills at school? You do? And what do they? And what happens when you do those drills?
We do drills so we can stay safe. If there's like a fire or somebody breaks into the school, we turn the lights off or something.
So you do drills so that you can stay safe, and you shared if there's a fire or if someone breaks into the school, and for that you turn off the lights and learn how to be very quiet, right? Mm-hmm. What grade are you in? I'm just asking. I think I already know, but first grade, that's what I thought. First grade, Kyle's in first grade. And sometimes those drills can be scary. Sometimes people might not know, is it a drill or is something really happening? And so that can be scary. And how many of the children know that they do those drills because sometimes people break into schools? Do we do those drills because it never happens or because it sometimes happens? It sometimes happens. So very rarely, but sometimes. And it's kind of a scary thought because although there are so many schools, and it's very, very, very unlikely to happen, the people that it happens to them 100%. And then all of us, we feel it. We feel it deeply. So I want all the children to know that I would like to meet with you for a short while following the service, just to see if you have any questions. And again, if you need space and need to be outside at all, that's fine. But one of the things we learn to talk about as a community is how we talk about challenging things and sad things that happen. And then we actually come together to name those things and to ask a question of what we might change. So I'm wondering how many, I'll just share, just to name it, which is that this week someone broke into a school and did harm some children and teachers in Texas. And my guess is that some of you already knew that. But one thing we do, especially when there's a big word called harrowing, such a harrowing, terrible cost of life. We honor those children because you know what? Here as Unitarian Universalists, when somebody dies, whether they are 4 years old or 40 years old, whether they are 10 years old or 100 years old, we believe that their light shines on and that who they were and the gifts that they shared continue. That light continues. And so this week, we lost a number of children and teachers, and we're going to say their names and something about their light, just the tiniest thing about their light. You could decide to look up more about them. So Barbara, would you join me? Let us open a space in our hearts to grieve, to count the losses, to say that the loss of one child or one teacher would be too much, for it is too much. But this week, we lost 19 children, I know, and their 2 teachers. And so we are going to name that loss and honor that loss and learn that just sometimes it takes time to recover from that. And we're going to hold their parents and their brothers and sisters, their siblings in our hearts, that they might feel comfort and peace, and they might have a community like ours to help them both to mourn and celebrate their siblings and all the light they brought to the world. So let us name these losses. The first child was named Neva Bravo. Do you know that her name is heaven spelled backwards? And she loved to make people smile. And Neva Bravo was 10.
Eva Mireles, age 44, an educator for 17 years. She taught 4th graders at Robb Elementary School.
Xavier Lopez, 10 years old. He loved cracking jokes and dancing.
Jose Flores, 10, was a 4th grader who loved to play baseball.
Irma Garcia, 48, was a 4th grade teacher at Robb Elementary. She loved to cook and fish and teach youngsters how to read.
On Thursday, her husband, Jose Garcia, died of a heart attack shortly after her memorial.
A broken heart. Ellie Garcia, aged 9, she loved to sing and dance.
Tess Mata, 10, loved spending time with her family.
Lexi Rubio, 10, was a standout student and athlete who played basketball and softball.
Jaila Silguero, 10, loved pink and playing games.
Jacqueline Cesares, 9, recently celebrated her first communion.
Jay Sluivanos, 10, made a pot of coffee for his grandparents, whom he lived with, every morning.
Miranda Mathis, 11, was smart, fun, and spunky.
Mary Jo Garza, 10, was an honor roll student, a proud big sister, and an all-around good kid.
I bet they were all around good kids. McKenna Lee Elrod, 10, also loved to dance and sing.
Layla Salazar, 10, won 6 races at the school's recent field day event.
I think it's getting too warm over there. There we go. Maite Rodriguez, 10, dreamed of becoming a marine biologist.
Annabelle Rodriguez, 10, was outgoing and loved to be the center of attention.
Eliana Cruz Torres, 10, loved playing softball and was hoping to make the all-star team.
Rogelio Torres, 10, was a smart and loving child.
Alethea Ramirez, 10, loved art and playing soccer.
Uzia Garcia, 10, was getting ready for long days of football, swimming, video games, and whatever other fun the summer might offer after he finished 4th grade.
And we light one other candle today. We could light many other candles, but we light one other candle to honor today the children whose lives are lost in the Ukraine war. May the light of all these particular children and teachers, the light of their love, their passions, everything they taught their families, and everything they aspired to become. May that light live on through their families and their friends, and may they continue to grow and be builders of a dream. May they dance and feel their friend. May they learn and feel their friend. May they advocate for an end to gun violence and feel their friend with them. For their spirits are now in the hearts of those that love them the most. And may they shine like the stars in space down upon everyone who misses them today. Amen, and blessed be, and may it be so. Our offering this morning is music, but it is also going to be split 50% between our congregation and Moms Demand Action and Everytown for Gun Safety. Thank you for your donations. They do make a difference. So we don't have any milestones cards today, and I think we've actually honored quite a few milestones. So let us just remember to be gentle with one another in this tender time and to allow us to feel all the things that we may feel: sadness and anger and a desire to make change are among them. And we know that there have also been great joys this week. Children have been born this week. People are experiencing glorious days this week. In fact, I know someone here is going to celebrate a birthday with a picnic on this glorious day in our beautiful space today. So each week, there is a balance of some joys that are small and some that are enormous. And each week, there is a balance of sorrows or sadness, some which are small. And this week, we have one that's enormous on top of others that have been enormous. So let us ever be a circle of care and commitment to one another, to move with joy when something wonderful happens to one of our folks, to companion someone in sorrow, as we did yesterday. I will name a teacher who passed away, but at 75 from a long illness, and we celebrated Sarah Murray Dundas's very bright light together here at a service. Let us honor everything that we may be feeling this day. And I'm choosing not to read the reading, Good Bones, but I do commend it to you by Maggie Smith. And let us rise in body or in spirit and sing for the earth forever turning. And let us set our hearts in the direction of Ukraine, and let us remember that we are one world.
Skies for every sea, for our lives, for all we cherish, sing we our joyful song of peace. For the mountains, hills, and pastures, in their silent majesty, for the stars, harmony, for our lives, for all creation, sing we our joyful praise to thee. For the world we raise our voices, for the home that gives us birth, for the joy we sing, returning home to our blue-green hills of
peace. When will we learn that to build peace, we must set our minds and hearts and spend our time and dollars on peaceful means? Thoreau preached this. Julia Ward Howe preached this. King preached this. Gandhi preached this. When will we learn, O Lord? Guns breed more guns. Murder more murders. Violence breeds more violence. We arrive on the edge of a week that unimaginably included the death of 19 elementary school children in Uvalde, Texas, 2 of their teachers, a grandmother, and the husband of one of the teachers who died of heartbreak only days later, and 17 others were wounded. This when only a little over a week prior, 13 were shot, 11 black and 2 white, in a Tops grocery store in Buffalo, New York, and 10 died. In both cases, the shooter was an 18-year-old young man armed with an AR-15 rifle, a weapon of war, and the same age as the young people we prepare and send to war. The proliferation of guns in this country and around the globe, and the proliferation of weapons of mass destruction, has led us to a place that is terrifying. Ironically, we continue to invest in these weapons under the names of security and protection and peace. However, I don't believe that any of us feels more secure, protected, or as if we're promoting peace. Yes, I believe that a nation like Ukraine has the right to defend themselves against a tyrannical dictator and fascist like Putin, who has demonstrated his willingness to assassinate anyone who challenges him. Sadly, for that purpose, they need weapons. However, we as a nation and a globe have invested too heavily in promoting peace through violence or the threat of violence. This simply leads to a temporary absence of violence and depends on us having the largest and most threatening arsenal. We need a Department of Peace as well as a Department of Defense. You may say, well, we do have a State Department, but that advances the interests and security of our nation, which does not always coincide with a dedicated effort to promote peace. What nonviolent creativity, ingenuity, and relationship building might occur if there were a group continually dedicated to peacemaking, not just the United Nations, which has that mission, but within the United States, just as we have a group dedicated to military might and defense. We also need to address the insatiable greed of the businesses who fulfill contracts of war and build weapons of mass destruction and lesser destruction, bombs, missiles, tanks, rifles, and the like. They are arming our troops, yes, but they are also turning our cities into militarized zones. They are equipping soldiers and police officers, and sadly also angry, suicidal, and/or conspiracy-believing, mostly madmen in our midst. First, some of you, as children, hid under your desks for fear of a nuclear threat, even though a desk was not much of a match for a bomb. Now, our children hide for fear of rifles piercing the peace of their classrooms. And we have seen the damage that can be done within minutes, let alone the 78 minutes the children endured on Tuesday. Before my fourth grader went to school the day after the shooting, at Robb Elementary School, I had one of those conversations like the one we're having as a community that parents dread. I asked him about the safety drills in his school and whether they had spoken about the possibility of what to do if someone came into the school with a gun. He said yes, they were preparing for anyone who might do something bad. I shared that I felt very sad that day because a man with a gun at a school in Texas had entered classrooms and killed more than 10 students. My son looked at me and said, "Did he kill a whole classroom?" And then he shared, my desk is closest to the door. And I said, "What do they teach you to do in the drills?" Just like I asked you, and you shared. He said, "They teach me to sit quietly and still at my desk." I said to him, and I say to all of you, if someone ever enters your classroom with a gun, you will not sit still, you will run. That is exactly or hide somewhere better than sitting still at the desk by the front door. The research shows that that is the best thing you can do. Hide out of sight, not in sight, or move Then he retold the story of his own father, a teacher, that he endured earlier this year when David and his students hid away from the door, out of sight, while a strange man with 2 rifles was on their block. They knew it wasn't a drill, and it lasted an hour and a half. And everyone was okay. I want you to know, at the end, at least physically okay. My son said, "Remember, Daddy played Shaun the Sheep on his cell phone on silent so the children could think about something else." How many of the kids here like Shaun the Sheep? A bunch. Yeah, or the adults. What his father also did was barricade the door and was holding a heavy metal water bottle filled with water in case someone entered. I share these stories with you to let you know that every family in the United States is bearing consequences due to our lack of political will to change the circumstances. By the way, Democrats and Republicans and independents are more united on gun safety laws than practically anything else, and certainly more united than the NRA would have you believe. It is the corporations who want to continue to be able to sell, and put profits over people. We need to gather the political will to act on our large base of agreement and vote out the politicians who are in the pockets of the gun lobby. And in the minister's pastoral update yesterday, I sent a link to the ability to call about some legislation here in New Jersey. And I encourage you to do that, to get involved with the UU Faith Action gun violence task force, violence prevention task force. And Leslie Moran, a member here, is co-chair of that. Also, we need to name that while all families are impacted, as well as every individual in our nation, we are not equally impacted. The proliferation of military weapons in this nation disproportionately impacts people of color, children of color, and communities of color. The recent shooting at the Tops grocery store was a young white man, a white supremacist who subscribed to replacement theory. He killed as many black people as he could for fear of whites being replaced by Jews and people of color. And I say this very clearly to every child and adult in this room: replacement theory is nonsense. And people are, unfortunately, using it to perpetuate racism, which our congregation has a mission to prevent and to work on ourselves and in the community to make the world a more just, fair, and beloved community. It was the same rhetoric we heard chanted in Charlottesville, and it was also the motivation of many of the insurrectionists on January 6th. This week, I am lingering with grief over the fact that the police officers are often armed with military-like weapons and seem willing to shoot black residents, while numerous officers in Uvalde seemed unwilling to face off with the shooter in a predominantly Mexican-American and Latino community in Texas. Were they afraid? Were they unwilling to risk their lives to protect that community in particular? Were they working off an old protocol that doesn't make sense? 2 children in the classroom bravely managed to call 911, and I believe that made a difference. Children can be heroic, but sadly, while they were on the phone, police were right outside, and they did not survive. On the weekend of Memorial Day, and I want the children to know in other circumstances, and the new training is that police go right away in as soon as they can. So this was a departure, and the people in Texas have named this. So I want you to know this is not what should happen, but we need to name that it happened. On the weekend of Memorial Day, when we honor the sacrifices our military make in order to protect and serve our democracy and our freedom, It's not lost on me that the composition of the military is disproportionately people of color, except at higher ranks, especially when compared to the U.S. population. Our choices to invest so heavily in defense and weapons of war sacrifices the lives of some people more than others, particularly poor people and people of color. And who makes these choices? Often it is white men making these choices, whether because they are high-ranking military officials or because they have too easy access to guns at a local store. And I want you to know, again, to emphasize to all of us that there are white men who are capable and do make different, more just choices. And we hope to actually be a part of a growing number. Today, it is harder to get a driver's license or a beer than it is to buy a gun in some parts of the country. There is a tradition of lament in religion, where we name the brokenness, we count the losses, we cry, we feel, we say enough. I think that is where we are on this heartbreaking Memorial Day weekend, in the wake of 2 mass shootings, in the wake of other shootings, in the middle of a war in Ukraine, where estimates are that we lit this candle, more than 200 children have died because of war, and many names have not yet been published. And thousands of adults, civilians, and soldiers have perished. While ordinary human beings are capable of extraordinary feats of love and imagination, we are also capable of grave destruction. We need to be able to see both clearly in order to move forward and respond to the call of love. So what is love calling us to do? Yes, 1, build the political will to stop the proliferation of guns. 2, come up with ways to destroy the already too large stockpiles of weapons that exist around our country. 3, commit to learning about white supremacy and the movement of anti-racism and the continuing impact on our government, military, police, education, housing, and every system in this country. 4, as Unitarian Universalists, this means not only the adoption of the 8th principle, which we did last June, but continually asking, how can we move this commitment to build the beloved community forward in the systems of our congregation and in our actions in the world? 5, ensure that decision-making power of the military, the police, and our government reflect the growing diversity of our nation. 6, investing in mental health resources in a time when so many young people, and actually people of all ages, are on the edge, some having suicidal thoughts and some struggling with well-being. 7, I'll add specifically supporting the mental health resources and employment opportunities for refugees and returning soldiers. 8, developing a Department of Peace. 9, practicing loving kindness, as Thich Nhat Hanh and others have taught us to do, and nonviolent communications in our meditations, in our relationships in the home, and in the wider community. For the children here, did you know the ability to promote peace can begin with how you treat your sibling? That's where we practice handling conflicts, getting angry, and learning how to make peace, or sometimes with parents, or sometimes with friends. We begin at home. Peace begins at home. There are so many ways we can engage in building a culture of peace and nonviolence. So I leave you with this question. What calls out to you in particular? What way might you promote peace in your life, in your community, and in the world this year? For we are human beings. We are capable of co-creating imaginative possibilities that don't even exist yet in space, but could exist tomorrow. And we are also capable of big feelings. And today we feel the loss of people who mattered and who made a difference. And we will use those feelings to fuel a revolution in the direction of love and peace. May it be so. And will you sing with us?
We're going to make a change, actually. You see building bridges in your order of service. We're actually going to sing this song called A Cleansing Rage by Jason Shelton, who wrote lots of other songs in our hymnal and wrote it in 2018 after a similar tragedy to the ones that we've seen this week. I invite you to rise in body or spirit. A cleansing rage wipes away my fear. A cleansing rage uproots all hesitation. A cleansing rage burns deep in my soul. May this rage make us one, make us whole. A sacred rage calls out falsehood and greed. A sacred rage burns the fires of justice. A sacred rage burns deep in my soul. May this rage make us one, make us whole. A tearful rage lets its truth be known. A tearful rage fuel relieves what is spoken. A tearful rage burns deep in my soul. May these tears make us one, make us whole. Loving rage, grace restores our hope. A loving rage strengthens bonds of resilience. A loving rage burns deep in my soul. May this love make us one, make us whole. May our love make us one, make us whole. May our love make us one, make us whole.
And now, in our going, may that light of love shine down upon us. May it radiate out from within us. May it be gracious unto us. And may it grant all of us to become peace builders. For this is the day that you and I are given So let us sow gladness in it. Go with peace, building in your heart. Go with love and resilience. Go holding one another and our world in the light of that love.
Yes, I think we're doing Juneteenth on Father's Day this year. By Ellen. Yeah.
But anyway, no, I was like, darling was one of them, and the other was, so it was really my